Hey everyone, Anthony here, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. Today, I am going to be explaining my 9-generation Zog family, the Richards. I have shown them on my channel quite a few times before and even made a video like this about 2 years ago, but I thought it was about time to give you guys an update on the family, as well as an extensive explanation of each generation that I didn't explain as well as I could have the first time I did it. As much as this is for you guys, this helps me remember what each generation was like and gives a clear video for people to go back to and watch whenever I do future current households for this family. I will include as many screenshots as I can find, and I hope you enjoy getting to know the Richards as closely as I have known them for more than 2 years now. Although I took a few hiatuses during this family, I am back into playing them regularly and hope to give you guys further current households the more I play them. Without a doubt, I am sure I will be missing some parts of the family, and I will try to cover as much of the important things as possible. This family has been a work in progress for years now, but ultimately, it became an empire of wealth and allowed me to play the game differently each generation. Without further ado, let's dive deep into the iconic Richards family. Generation 1. Talia Richards. On March 26, 2022, Talia Richards was the first sim I created for the Richards family. At the time, I had no idea how huge this family would end up becoming. Talia holds a special place in my heart as she is the matriarch of this family and became the reason on why I even decided to create a channel for Sims content, as my first video on this channel was a current household about this family. Her traits were ambitious, lucky, nurturing, loner, and schmoozer. Her lifetime wish was to be a CEO of a mega corporation, which she fulfilled. She lived in Sunset Valley and I created her on a whim. Throughout her young adulthood, she had a slight thing with Jared Frio that never ended up becoming official. By slight thing, I mean she had her first child and invited Jared over, proclaiming that she wanted to continue their relationship even though she had a child with another man. This was my most calm generation, by the way. Her first son was Blaze Richards Wolf, his father being Thornton Wolf, as you can see here. Yes, Talia did break him and Morgana apart. Oops. His traits were heavy sleeper, ambitious, snob, over-emotional, and excitable. He went to Smugsworth Prep School for his child life and later half of his teen life, as both Talia and Thornton decided that this would best for him since they also both attended Smugsworth when they were younger. Co-parenting goals. Talia ended up breaking up with Thornton as she didn't see herself with him long-term, and kept Jared as a love interest for the time being before someone else came into her life. Then, after having a conversation with her only friend Madison, you can tell I never had my Sims have friends, she found out that Jared married Jamie, another townie in Sunset Valley. That sealed the deal in the fact that Talia was over both Thornton and Jared and she was ready for something new. After Talia went through the chaos with Thornton and Jared, I made a Sim for her called Aaron. His traits were animal lover, born salesman, perceptive, brave, and loves the cold. They had a son together called Saffron, who I will get more into as he was the second generation heir. They dated into their adulthood and got married. Blaze was very adamant about Aaron in the beginning as he idolized his father in a way Talia never really understood. Eventually, he grew to like Talia and Aaron together and even happily celebrated their wedding together. She lived quite a simple life with her nice house, husband, children, and dog named Scout. Her son Blaze ended up getting married to his high school sweetheart Sylvia Valentine. Her traits were charismatic, born saleswoman, family-oriented, slob, and heavy sleeper. Story progression gave him 2 kids, John Valentin and Lloyd's Valentin. John had a son named Ignacio with a sim named Lola, but it honestly does not matter as I did not really play with them. I knew early on that I wanted Saffron to be my heir, so Blaze's side of the family tree ends at his kids. Before Talia and Aaron passed away, I had Blaze move in to keep Saffron company as he was only a teenager, and he wanted to ensure the rest of his teenhood was executed properly. Overall, Talia had a chill life and was a great way to reintroduce myself to The Sims 3. She set up the foundation for a family I really enjoy playing with. Generation 2. Saffron Richards. For the Generation 2 heir, I chose Saffron. His traits were excitable, loves the cold, charismatic, loner, perfectionist, and genius. His lifetime wish was to be a world-renowned surgeon, which he fulfilled. The reason he got the wish for this lifetime aspiration was because he witnessed his mother passing away in front of him and decided, in that moment, that he'd love to become a doctor to save others. Due to Talia and Aaron having him so late in life, they had more of a grandparent feel as Saffron grew up and he loved his parents a lot. He consistently got good grades in order to keep them happy and knew he loved school. He did debate and drama club in high school and tried to be involved in anything he could, scoring trophies in many different areas. He even had a part-time job at the grocery store and worked late nights on the chemistry potion station to make fun potions. When he graduated, he earned class valedictorian. In high school, he met his high school sweetheart, Jillian, at prom, and they both attended Sims University together. Their first kiss was at a park in the rain, which I thought was very romantic. Jillian's traits were good, family-oriented, schmoozer, flirty, and good sense of humor. Saffron's degree was in science and medicine, while Jillian's degree was in communications. Her lifetime wish was to reach level 10 of the journalism career, which she completed as well. After they attended Sims University and earned all A's together, they settled down in Sunset Valley where they moved into a new house and had 2 kids together. They also had a relatively simple life. These 2 first generations weren't too chaotic, but don't worry, the next generations will make up for it. Their first kid together was Enzo, whose traits were loves the heat, light sleeper, virtuoso, dramatic, and photographer's eye. He attended La Fromage Art School during his kid and teen years, and story progression never had him get married or have any children, so his line ends there. Their second kid together, the Generation 3 heir, and as you can see the family tree gets huge when you click on her, was Maya. No drama occurred during this generation. Saffron and Jillian enjoyed the rest of their lives together, and the next few generations are where stuff really begins to get dramatic. Generation 3. Maya Richards. For the Generation 3 heir, I chose Maya. Her traits were artistic, equestrian, heavy sleeper, shy, and loves the heat. Her lifetime wish was to be surrounded by family, which she fulfilled. Out of the Richard family heirs, her life was possibly second place and the most chaotic. Her daughter Catherine definitely takes the cake in that category, and the Generation 6 heir, Haley, takes third place, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Maya was the pretty girl in school that everyone either wanted to be or wanted to be with. When she graduated, she was class valedictorian and won most artistic, following in her father's footsteps. Even with that, she was quite humble and even preferred to be by herself as she grew up. She even met someone at prom named Emmanuel, but they never went any further than just being first crushes as teens. Since she had the equestrian trait, I also got her a horse that she could treat as a side hobby and even attend races if that interested her. Originally, when she aged up into a young adult, I gave her the jockey lifetime aspiration, but I changed it as I thought it wasn't what I wanted her overall goal to be in the end of her life. Throughout her life, she juggled many different careers. She tried the daycare career and a variety of side hustles that she never truly connected with. Lastly, she joined the detective career, which she ended up mastering, and I had a blast playing with that career as I had never really dabbled with it beforehand. When she became a young adult, she met Carlos Garcia. His traits were animal lover, computer whiz, vehicle enthusiast, workaholic, and bookworm. They hit it off extremely well, moving quite fast, and she had twins as a result. They even moved in together and were ready to make everything official as soon as possible. One was Paxton, whose traits were eco-friendly, computer whiz, natural cook, loner, and clumsy. The other was Colleen, whose traits were dog person, ambitious, frugal, loner, and loves the cold. Maya was over the moon, until just 1 or 2 days after the birth of her twins. Her almost-to-be husband, Carlos, ended up drowning at a pool party that she was holding in celebration of Leisure Day. It was a complete surprise and heartbreaking for her to endure. To heal her heart, she ended up adopting her third child. Her name was Eliandra Richards, and her traits were photographer's eye, easily impressed, genius, star quality, and dramatic. She attended La Fromage Art School and was the star-deemed actress of the family. Her and the first set of twins did not end up being my heir, so I kind of let story progression take their toll and do whatever they wanted. Paxton and Colleen never got married or had any children. Alejandra ended up adopting her daughter Jamie, whose traits were easily impressed, dog person, excitable, rebellious, and technophobe. She then met her husband, Garrett Jasperson, and they had a son together named Tracy. Garrett's traits were hopeless romantic, friendly, clumsy, over-emotional, and handy, while Tracy's traits were heavy sleeper, friendly, artistic, couch potato, and never knew. Garrett also had a daughter from a previous marriage named Katina, whose traits were lucky, angler, easily impressed, handy, and athletic. That side of the family ended there. Lastly, Maya had twins after a rendezvous visit to France. Maya traveled different worlds and a lot and had met many different Sims during her time away. Their dad was Bernard Moreau. During this trip, Maya was testing the waters with a variety of men just for the hell of it. However, Bernard caught wind of this and immediately went to shut her down. After this event, he mysteriously drowned near the lake they were last seen fighting at. Maya, being the brave and determined detective she was, ruled it as a suicide. Case closed. Do what you will with that information. I'd say that is the only time she ever acted out in her entire life. I don't really know why I even did that, as it does not fit her character at all, but we can blame past Anthony for that one. Anyway, their names were Catherine and Cyrus. As Catherine was my heir, I will discuss her later. As for Cyrus, his traits were vehicle enthusiast, evil, excitable, hot-headed, and clumsy. Originally, I was juggling between either Catherine or Cyrus being the heir, as it seemed fun to play with the villain for a change, as I'd like to think he inherited these genes from his mother's quietly dastard moves. However, I ended up going with Catherine, and I am glad I did, as her generation was genuinely the most crazy, weird, fun, messy, stressful generation of the Richards family by far. Generation 4, Catherine Richards. For the Generation 4 heir, I chose Catherine. Her traits were perceptive, heavy sleeper, loves the outdoors, adventurous, and loner. Her lifetime wish was the seasoned traveler wish, which she fulfilled. Catherine takes the craziest generation trophy by far, and I'm really excited to get into the chaos that was her life. You may be asking, Anthony, what possessed you to have 10 children, as you can see right here? Well, her husband, August, rolled the want to have 10 children, which I didn't even know existed in The Sims 3. I decided to fulfill it, and I don't know why I did. Past Anthony was weird. Anyway, I am getting ahead of myself. Let's dive into Catherine first and foremost. With her generation, I decided it was finally time to move worlds, and I moved her into the world Twinbrook. During this generation, I was deep into watching Florida's Legacy Challenge. I was on her Ambitions generation and really wanted to play the same type of gameplay, so that is partly what led me to make certain gameplay decisions with Catherine. You should check out her channel, she makes incredible content. Anyway, as a kid, I didn't really sway her in any certain direction, as I didn't know fully who I wanted to be the heir yet. She dyed her hair wacky colors and was probably the black sheep of the family, even though they were all very close with each other. For the bulk of Catherine's young adulthood, she traveled to many different worlds, like France, China, and Egypt. She explored many different tombs and collected a variety of different relics. She managed to get a level 3 visa in each world she visited. After she decided it was time to settle down, she became an inventor and dedicated the rest of her life to building all sorts of weird gadgets. Eventually, she even created a Simbot that lived with the family and helped out a ton with the children named David. This family was a weird crew. 10 children, parents, a Simbot, a dog. Wow. While settling down, she ended up meeting her husband, August. His traits were loves the heat, nurturing, perceptive, rebellious, and virtuoso. He was a rock star, and to be quite honest, throughout my playthroughs, I usually dedicated my time to whatever Richard's heir I was playing it with, leaving the partners usually with not a lot of attention from me. I will say, I need to work on that, but with this family, I was too busy trying to keep every sim alive. 10 kids, guys, what was I thinking? Seriously? Anyway, let's get into the children that Catherine and August had together. Their first child was Finley, whose traits were handy, athletic, family-oriented, adventurous, and insane. He ended up marrying his high school sweetheart, Angie, whose traits were easily impressed, athletic, bookworm, flirty, and genius. They had one kid together named Shauna, whose traits were lucky, diva, excitable, insane, and brave. That side of the family tree stops there. Throughout my gameplay, I wish I dedicated more time into my familial relationships, but I will try to do a better job of that moving forward. Anyway, we do not like Shauna. We do not like Shauna. I will get more into that later on when we get to Generation 6, so just keep an eye out for that. So, remember when I mentioned that Catherine really enjoyed inventing? So she ended up creating a time machine, which she used to go from the past to the future in a variety of ways. One day, when all my Sims were doing their casual day-to-day activities, Finley was just a toddler at the time, by the way, Michelle comes falling out of the time machine. So, I am not used to this ever happening. I have never had this happen to me in The Sims 2 before, so imagine my absolute shock when and dismay when an elder sim falls out of the time machine and claims Catherine and August are her parents. So after a few intense Google searches, I realized this came with the game and was a fun little thing the time machine lets happen. Interesting. Her traits ended up being schmoozer, angler, coward, loner, and couch potato. Genuinely, this generation's dynamic was the weirdest thing I think I have ever played, but nonetheless, I persevered. Michelle ended up marrying a sim named Molly. They were cute together and lived together into their final days. It was really sad to see her go when both Catherine and August hadn't even reached elder status, but she lived the best of her life for how short I had her in the family. Then, Catherine had triplets Isaac, Ingrid, and Isaiah. My ass should have stopped at 5 kids, but I guess I wanted to put myself into misery and suffer, which I did end up doing with this generation, but anyway. Isaac's traits were easily impressed, green thumb, light sleeper, insane, and loves the outdoors. Ingrid's traits, if I can find her, Ingrid's traits were charismatic, ambitious, genius, unlucky, and disciplined. Isaac's traits were easily impressed. Isaiah's traits were charismatic, ambitious, grumpy, clumsy, and genius. Sorry, I'm starting to mix up all these kids because there's too many of them, but honestly, since neither of them were the heir, you don't have to really care about that. But anyway, I am going to be quite honest with you guys here. I sent those 3 to boarding school for their whole childhood and teenhood, as I simply could not deal with all the children that were in this household. Yes, I am fully to blame for all of this. It is completely my fault that this all happened, but what could I have done? Like, it was really hard to play the game at that time. But anyway, I knew I didn't want any of them to be the heirs, so I just let them do as they please. They never met anyone, and they never married anyone. They never had kids with anyone, so I'm kind of grateful, as if they all had children, I'm sure my game would have given up on me and probably corrupted the save. So story progression, thank you for that one. Anyway, let's move on to the next kid, 6 of 10. So the 6th child, I'm almost done listing them off, I swear, we're almost done. Her name was Gracelyn. Her traits were heavy sleeper, artistic, great kisser, hates the outdoors, and couch potato. To be quite honest, my intent was for her to be the heir of the family, but she turned out ugly and I could not bear continuing this lineage with an ugly sim. Yeah, I know that's cruel, but if I have photos, I'll show you. She was ugly and I'm sorry, it's just the truth. I could not deal with her being the heir. And yes, I am that way with my sims. What can I do? Anyway, moving on. Next, children 7 and 8 were twins. Their names were Elias, whose traits were mooch, athletic, handy, adventurous, and genius, and Emmett, whose traits were brave, evil, handy, hot-headed, and heavy sleeper. I sent them off to boarding school as well, as I didn't really have it in me to continue playing with all the children. I didn't have an itch to play either of them as the heirs as well, so I had Catherine had one final baby, hoping that it would be up to my standard enough to become the next heir of the Richards family, which you would believe with 10 children, at least 5 of them would be like speaking out to me wanting to be the heir, but no, I just really did not like any of them. But anyway, let me continue. This generation just made it extremely hard for me to pick up my game, as you can imagine, like to play, because it caused me more stress than enjoyment. So I'd say I sped quite fast through this generation. I didn't really take the time to go through each Sims like childhood and teenhood, as I really just wanted to move on to the next generation due to the stress it was causing me. But lastly, Catherine and August ended up having twins, whose names were Ella and Evan. These were children 9 and 10, fulfilling August's wish and making my life basically a living hell. I complain a lot about this generation, I know, but I really do love this family. I would say this generation just really tested me, I fear, but anyway, wow, Catherine's generation was really a mouthful for me to discuss, but I hope talking to you about it depicts how chaotic her life was, and mine as well, while playing it. Generation 5, Ella and Evan Richards. For the Generation 5 heir, I chose both Ella and Evan, the last twins among their siblings. However, in the end, I ultimately finished with Ella and continued the family tree down her lineage. Ella's traits were genius, diva, virtuoso, neurotic, and star quality. Her lifetime wish was to be a vocal legend, which I believe she fulfilled. Evan's traits were artistic, natural born performer, light sleeper, socially awkward, and shy. His lifetime wish was to be a master acrobat, which I believe he did not fulfill, but he moved out, so he may or may not have done this on his own. I do not know entirely. As children, I didn't really pay attention to them as my main goal was to finish Generation 4 without my head imploding, as you heard me rant about, I'd say, for 5 or 10 minutes. Anyway, I did know that I wanted them to be my heirs though, so this generation was when I first installed the Showtime expansion pack, so I went a little crazy with making them as Starlight Shores material as I possibly could. They both moved to Starlight Shores in hopes to become famous and dazzle the crowd at any chance they could get. Because Ella ended up being my actual heir continuation, I will get into the time I played with Evan first. While I played with him, I mainly focused on improving his skills and moving him up in his career. He also painted, which earned us a lot of money and was very much needed, and ultimately, the Richards family became quite a rich family, as you can see now. He then ended up meeting his wife, Mercedes. Her traits were schmoozer, diva, star quality, flirty, and workaholic. Ella and Mercedes clashed drastically and it eventually led Evan and Mercedes to move out and start a family of their own. Evan and Mercedes ended up having one kid together whose name was Danny Richards, whose traits were grumpy, mooch, easily impressed, clumsy, and genius. That part of the family tree ends there, as Danny never really had any children, so nothing continued after that. Moving on to the true heir of this generation, Ella. So, Ella's first daughter was Rainey. Her traits were excitable, eco-friendly, avant-garde, neurotic, and dramatic. Ella ended up having two children in her life, Rainey and Haley. Haley became the heir for Generation 6, so I will talk about Rainey first. She had Rainey with Bryce Savage, who is a townie in Starlight Shores. His traits were hopeless romantic, diva, genius, brave, and good. I had full intentions of having Ella invite Bryce over, getting married, continuing their lives together, all that, right? However, on one fateful day, I had Ella invite Bryce over just to hang out, chat, so he could see Rainey and whatnot. She then has this upset interaction pop up and accuses Bryce of cheating on her, which completely took me by surprise as I had no idea like any of this was happening. From Bryce's personality, I didn't expect this, as it seemed like his true love he found was Ella and he literally had the good traits, so I was really shocked to hear this. Anyway, after this, Ella couldn't stand the sight of him anymore, so they rightfully broke up. Moving on, Rainey ended up marrying her high school sweetheart, Gus, and they had two children together. She also attended boarding school, which was La Fromage Art School, for the later half of her teen life. Gus's traits were avant-garde, athletic, inappropriate, insane, and loves the outdoors. His parents were in town and their names were Craig and Emily. I don't really care about them, to be quite frank. They didn't really add much to this family, but they're there. Their children together were Donna, whose traits were whose traits were clumsy, genius, neurotic, photographer's eye, and evil, and Christina, whose traits were evil, athletic, eccentric, brave, and inappropriate. Also, I don't really know what's going on here with their icons, just don't mind that. But anyway, I didn't even realize that they were both evil low-key, so they could have been taking over the world together as a power duo, and I would have never realized, to be honest, but I'm sure it is quite obvious by now that if you are not part of the heirs family, I don't really pay much attention to you. Rainey actually despised her sister Haley, which I will be getting into. So, Haley's father ended up being Douglas Bowden. So, Douglas's traits were animal lover, computer whiz, genius, shy, and bookworm. Ella and Douglas settled down together and grew into their old age as a married couple. After this generation, I took quite a long hiatus with this family before diving back into Generation 6. I'm sure everyone has the same phases like I do, where I either play for 8 hours a day, or I take a month-long break, no in between. Generation 6, Haley Richards. For the Generation 6 heir, I ended up choosing Haley. Her traits were photographer's eye, perfectionist, friendly, handy, insane, loner, and workaholic, which I did not realize she had this many traits. That's actually really impressive. I believe that's because she mastered every single social group and she graduated college, so I think that's why she got Or maybe it's mastering one of the social groups. Anyway, I think that's why. But moving forward, her lifetime wish was to be a professional author, which she fulfilled. Her generation was quite wacky, and I feel like I was consistently stirring the pot just for the hell of it. But hey, 6 generations are going strong so far. This family actually is the longest I have played with, so you gotta cause drama in order to keep it vibrant and fresh. I'd say Haley has the role of being a serial cheater of this family. Gotta love that diva, but that's why she wins third place in most chaotic heirs. As a kid, I also didn't really pay attention to her and just let her do her own thing. I knew I wanted her to be the heir, but as the time went on, I started focusing on the heirs mainly when they aged up into young adults and not in their younger life stages. I don't really know why, but that was just the case. She ended up moving to the town of Bridgewood after deciding that the Starlight Shore's limelight was not for her. I actually ended up going to Sims University with her, where she ended up getting a degree in communications. Besides her writing, which was the main source of income, she had a career in video game developing as she reached the max level of nerd influence during her time in college. Before college, she had a boyfriend named Ken, and they were with each other while she was in college. However, at college, Haley had the bright idea to cheat on him. Hey, it's college. What happens in college stays in college, right? Wrong. It did not stay in college. She cheated on him with one of the pre-made college townies named Gary Clyde. Haley came back to town and had no intention of telling Ken as she wanted to continue her relationship with him and just marked off Gary as a mistake she made during her uni years. One day, when she was showing Ken some memories of university, he came across a photo of Haley kissing Gary and got extremely upset. They ended up breaking up and calling it quits. Remember when I mentioned that we hate Shauna, aka Finley's daughter, from a few generations ago? Well, after they broke up, Ken went running to her and they began a relationship. Mind you, he was a young adult and she was an elder at this time. So, Haley just decided to go out one day and fought her. I guess you could say this begins her serial cheating arc because way more happens after this, but nonetheless, after this, she invited Gary from college to Bridgewood and asked him to move in. They ended up properly dating and ended up having 2 kids together. Gary's traits were handy, genius, frugal, athletic, and computer whiz. Their first kid together was Faith, whose traits were frugal, mean-spirited, light sleeper, excitable, and animal lover. Their second kid together was Rylan, whose traits were easily impressed, loves the cold, party animal, and athletic. For some reason, he has no fifth trait, but he wasn't an heir, so who really cares? Moving on. Let's bring back some of Haley's chaotic cheater energy back into the flow of things. So, one day, Haley decided to go into the town to the diner, and she ended up meeting a man named Dedrick. They ended up hitting it off almost instantly, and what could Haley do besides cheat on her boyfriend with a new man? Yay, yay! Who's excited? Who's happy? But anyway, his traits were brave, great kisser, genius, loves the cold, and friendly. He was also a doctor, so how could Haley literally resist that? He's literally a perfect sim. But not that I'm excusing cheating. I'm not excusing cheating here, but he was a perfect sim, so she went after him. Haley and Dedrick ended up having a child together named Ryder, who was actually an accident, but don't tell him that. He's dead in a sim anyway, so you can't really do that. And now actually, when I'm looking back on it, why did I name her kids Ryland and Ryder? Like, they're the same name basically with like the Rye part. I don't really know why I did that, but I mean, you know what? Anyway, let's just get into his traits. Ryder's traits were nurturing, ambitious, loves the heat, good, and genius. I think I do remember also making his imaginary friend real, but for the life of me, I cannot remember anything about her or her name. I didn't really have anything go on there. You can tell I didn't really pick him as the heir. I really do need to start caring about the extended family when it comes to that, but if I have any photos, I'll be sure to show you his imaginary friend. Anyway, Haley's immediate plan was to tell Dedrick and run away with him, as at the time she was still with Gary, who had no idea any of this was actually happening. So she then comes back home after that visit with Dedrick and tells Gary she's pregnant, but that he is the father. I'm laughing reading this out, like why was I so messy? I don't know why I did this, but it was really fun. Um, Haley tells Dedrick what happened and he is rightfully mad at her and stops speaking to her indefinitely. After Haley had her son, Ryder, I got a pop-up saying Haley had a child out of wedlock, which fed perfectly into my plans for her. I love when The Sims 3 works their magic like this. It just works out so well. Anyway, the day this happened, Rainey started hating Haley, so that's where this stems from, when I mentioned it previously. The next morning, Gary wakes up and yells at Haley, asking her about the news he's seeing on his phone. Haley ends up spilling everything and admits the truth to him about cheating and how Ryder is actually Dedrick's baby. This happened on Faith's birthday before she aged up into a teenager. They promised not to tell her, but Gary ended up telling her everything on the day of her birthday, and Faith ends up hating Haley for everything she's done and accuses her of being a homewrecker. She kicks her mom out for the night, and Haley goes to Dedrick so he can comfort her. Gary moved out with Faith and Ryland, and that was their last way to reconnect with her. And the kids never went out of their way to reconnect with her, excuse me. After this, she immediately asked Dedrick to move in, and they had a risky woohoo, which resulted in their accident baby, Ryder. After this chaos, things slowed down, and they ended up having another child together named Phoebe. Phoebe is my heir for Generation 7, so I will get a little bit more into her later. But yeah, Generation 6 was actually a bit of a doozy. Now that I look at it, I'm changing my trophies. Haley gets first place, Catherine gets second place, and Maya gets third place in most chaotic heirs. A stealthy trio, huh? Generation 7, Phoebe Richards. For the Generation 7 heir, I chose Phoebe. Her traits were diva, friendly, bookworm, flirty, and slob. Her lifetime wish was to be a heartbreaker, which she did not fulfill. I'm going to be straight up and honest with you, I did skip this whole generation. After Generation 7, I took the longest hiatus I have ever taken from this family, and it's because Phoebe seemed so bland to me and I didn't have it in me at the time to think of drama. For Phoebe, I have no screenshots or memories of her because I actually sped up her entire life and moved on to Generation 8, which is what I am on now. I actually didn't even get back into Generation 8 until this month, which is crazy to think about, as I used to play this family literally every month. I say I stopped playing with Phoebe in maybe around 2023, and now I'm finally getting back to this family, which is a long ways away, but I also made this video in order to keep me in check to continue playing with this family. I got intense Richards family burnout, but I am super excited to come back to the family now, and I think what I needed was a new perspective on The Sims 3 and the idea that I don't have to play them 24/7. I'm allowed to have other families to go to. I kept having this mindset that this was the only family I could play with because of how huge it was getting, but at the time now, when I'm thinking back on it, that was not the best way to think about it. I should not have done that for myself, and I should have played with other families if I felt like it. Moving on, nonetheless, I will tell you some things I do remember about Phoebe. She moved to a world called Los Aniacos, which I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I do not recommend that world as my game had never lagged so horribly as it did when I was in that world. My plan with her was to just date the entire town and cause mass chaos, and if I actually dedicated my time to her, I bet she could have been my craziest generation yet. The time I played her, she broke up families and she did like no tomorrow. After I took a long break, I came back and made a sim for her just so she could have the Generation 8 heir and I could just start fresh. His name was Aiden Richards and his traits were ambitious, computer wish, schmoozer, flirty, and workaholic. And to be honest, that's it. I feel bad that I didn't play her to her full potential, but for some reason I just could not bring myself to. Moving on to the next generation and starting with a different goal was definitely the move though. Now I am enjoying playing this game again to its fullest extent, and I'm back with a family that I have been playing with for more than 2 years now. Generation 8, Joselyn Richards. And finally, for the Generation 8 heir, I chose Joselyn, which was Phoebe's only child. Her traits are neurotic, excitable, virtuoso, loves the cold, and dog person. Her lifetime wish is to become a rock star, which is what I am currently trying to fulfill for her. So throughout this video, I have been reading a script, so now, since I'm actively playing with her, I'm going to go off script now and get into the nitty gritty of her. So if I'm not sounding completely correct or I'm talking too fast, that's because now I'm just speaking from the mind. So let's go ahead and hop into this family. So as you can see, this is Joselyn. This is her everyday wear. You might be looking at her, you're like, why does she got a mountain of cake on her face? What's with all the makeup? Why is her hair like dyed blonde? this all goes with my story, y'all, and I'm really excited to tell you guys about it because, like I said, this generation has refueled my love for this family, and I'm really excited to get into that with you guys. So, this is the house. We are currently living in the world of Bridgeport, which I typically do not like playing in this town. Like, literally, look, my freaking lighting mod is off, but I typically do not like playing in this town, but there's so many worlds that I have played with this family that it's kind of hard not to be in a world that we've been in before. So Bridgeport was a world that I haven't been in with the Richards family yet. So I chose the Richards, or I chose the Bridgeport for them. So this is their mansion. I did not create this myself. If I have the link, I will link it down below, but trust me, I did not create this house myself. This is a beautiful mansion, and I think it makes sense for the Richards family because they're rich. They have 52,000 household funds left over. Like, this family has amassed so much money, it's insane, but this is the outside. You can't really see it that well because it's snowing and it's like foggy outside. But yeah, it's really beautiful. Here is the cars we have. I'll just give you a really quick house tour. Like, I don't even know much of it myself. I didn't even furnish any of this, keep in mind. Like, I got it straight from YouTube. So, this is a little entryway. Over here is like a large dining room. Here is another little office area and a bathroom right here. Over here is like a mini little living room, and this goes out back into the back. Over here is like a bar area, which is where one of our Sims are. Here is another little mini Eden area. Over here is the kitchen, and here is the main living room, which I really like. Here are some two empty rooms that I didn't really put anything in, but that was the first floor. And going up, here is the second floor. My game runs a little laggy in this world because of this house, so don't mind that. But this is the master bathroom, which is literally huge, but it's so pretty. This is the master bedroom. Into here is Miss Ariella's room, which is not decorated at all, which I'll get into. I should probably decorate it, but over here is the butler's room. So Miss, what's her name? Michelle's room. Our butler changes all the time, so we have a new butler every week. I don't know why, but anyway, there's her room, and then here's some two empty rooms again. And yeah, this is just like the hall little area. So yeah, that's just a very quick overrun of the house. It's very massive, but it's like on its like own little spot, which I think fits very well for Joselyn, as she is a level 3 celebrity, and I already told you all of her traits and what her aim is, which is to be a rock star. So let's dive deeper into these Sims and the lore that I have going for them. As you can see, she is betrayed. She lost a friend. She's publicly disgraced. She's upset. We'll get into that right now. So anyway, I guess you don't really know her sign. She's an Aries. Her favorites are Egyptian, hamburger, and orange. She just turned into an adult literally today, so there's that for you. I won't get into her relationships just yet until I explain the whole family, so then you'll understand why so many people actually despise her. But anyway, as for her career, she's level 7, which is actually really awesome. I need to work on her performances and such, but she is literally level 7, so she's very close to becoming the rock star that I want her to be. As for her skills, she has level 5 charisma, level 5 cooking, and level 9 guitar, so most of the time I just have her working on her cooking skill and her guitar skill. The charisma skill just kind of started happening as she was talking to people, so I don't know why it's so high, but nonetheless it is. She has a bunch of like mini things in her inventory from past heirs, so I don't really know what half of this stuff is. I should probably hang it up and make a room for them. All the graves are actually in the like mausoleum as well, so maybe I should make like a little spot for them in this house to put all the graves, because there's definitely room. But anyway, oh, she was naked there for a second. Hope y'all didn't see that. But anyway, she has about 53,000 lifetime reward points, which does make sense because so far her life has been pretty fulfilling. But as you'll see in the photos, she did not look like this a few days ago. She's having, what do you say? Does she have? Yeah, she's having a midlife crisis, like like it's actually hitting her like a dump truck. That's how hard it's hitting her. But let me just explain the rest of the family, and then you'll understand. You'll understand. So over here is Mr. Logan Van Holden. Can I get a good look at him? He's doing a little bit of mixology right here, but he also lost a friend, is publicly disgraced, upset, and germy. So that's very exciting. His traits are virtuoso, natural cook, bookworm, photographer's eye, and schmoozer. His favorites are black, peanut butter and jelly, and R&B music, and he's an Aquarius. He's also level 2 celebrity, which I mean does come from Jocelyn because she's a level 3 celebrity. But anyway, They were married. Past tense were married. I'll get into that after I explain the traits. I think that's probably just for the better. But his lifetime wish is also to be a rock star like Jocelyn, which is actually how they met. He's only level 4. He's not really focusing as much on it as Jocelyn is, but his skills are level 4 guitar, level 1 logic, and level 9 mixology. That has been his sole passion at the moment. I was even thinking of getting him a bar. But yeah, for some reason, he just autonomously loves working on his mixology skill, and who am I to stop him? In his inventory, he just has like a camera and his guitar, and he has about almost 49,000 lifetime reward points, so he also has a good amount. As you can see here, we have Ronan Richards, which was their first son together. He's actually away at La Fromage Art School for boarding school, but his traits are over emotional, light sleeper, natural born performer. And for him, my plan for him is just to have him be like an actor. I think it'd be really fun to have him be like an over the top, sassy actor guy. So that's probably going to be my plan for him. So yeah, nothing much going on with him. And then they had a second kid together as well, whose name is Ariella. I'll try to get a good shot up for you guys. She actually looks scary here, but it's okay. Her traits are hopeless romantic and a coward. Her favorites are purple, ratatouille, and geek rock, and she is a Virgo. Obviously, she's a toddler, so she does not have much going on for her. And yeah, that's basically the family and their traits. I'll go ahead and show you their dog lastly, and then I'll get into the lore of this family, which is quite hefty, so we'll see how long we're here for. But here is their dog. Her name is Caramel, which is so cute. Which also, how do you guys say caramel? I say caramel, but some people say caramel, so you guys can let me know how you say it. I say caramel, which I think is more fancy, but I don't know why I'm even discussing this. Anyway, her traits are shy, like swimming, and lazy, and she's a female, so she's an adult, and she'll be an elder in like 22 days. She doesn't really have that many close relationships with anybody, but yeah, that's just Caramel. She's very cute, I think. So yeah, now I'm going to go ahead and get into the lore of this family. So when you look at Miss Jocelyn's relationships right here, she's kind of close with the maid. She has a romantic interest named Romeo Missoni Rake right here. She's okay with her co-workers, and she's okay with her daughter, I guess. And then you keep scrolling, and red starts popping up, and she's disliked by multiple people, by many people actually. Even her son hates her. But most of all, she hates Caitlin Missoni Rake and her ex-husband, Logan Van Holden. So, let me tell you a little bit about Logan and Jocelyn's story together. So, I made him for her. I had to be a rock star with her so they could be coworkers and they could have a little coworker to lovers sitch. They moved really, really fast, like extremely fast. He proposed. They had a private wedding because they didn't want anything too big, and they started having their kids together. But while they were together, they would have like autonomous arguments that I did not have them have, which I didn't even know was possible in The Sims 3, but they were doing it. So I just took that as like maybe they were just such a fiery and fast love that it's kind of starting to sizzle out. And there was one time especially, he even still has the wish. He wanted to have a third kid with her, which she was pushing it with one. She did not even really want to have a child to begin with, which they ended up having Ronan. And then Ariella was kind of a mistake. It just kind of happened with Risky Woohoo, and she was like, okay, after this, I'm done. No more kids. I'm not popping any more kids out. I want to focus on my career and become a level 10 rock star. Well, he rolled the want to have another child with Jocelyn, and when he talked about it with Jocelyn, they were just not compatible about it. Jocelyn was saying she does not want to have a third kid, no matter what. And yeah, that started their argument, and that led them to going different ways. So, Jocelyn had a best friend named Caitlin Missoni Rake. Logan had a best friend, which as you look at when you look at his relationships, he has a love interest, Caitlin, and a bunch of people also hate him. Even his daughter hates him more than she hates Jocelyn, like you could see. And he hates Romeo. So Romeo Missoni Rake, Caitlin Missoni Rake, they're a married couple, y'all. They were best friends with the married couple. So Logan's best friend was Romeo, and Jocelyn's best friend was Caitlin. Um, Freaking Logan and Jocelyn cheated on each other with the couple that they were best friends with. So, uh, oh my god, why did I do this? I'm low-key messy. But anyway, Logan basically got with Caitlyn, And Jocelyn got with Romeo. So originally they had this on the low. Nobody knew anything. It was moving pretty smoothly. No one was suspicious of anything. They'd hang out outside. They would woohoo outside, and no one knew anything. When suddenly I got a few notifications saying that Jocelyn was seen woohooing in public, and that Logan was seen woohooing in public. So when they found out, they obviously knew that the other was cheating on each other because they've never woohooed in public before, and they started hating each other, arguing, screaming in each other's faces. And autonomously, they divorced. Like, I didn't even have them. I wanted them to stay together for a little bit longer, but one day I just got a notification saying that they don't want to continue their romantic relationship, whatever, and they divorced without me even telling them to, which, I mean, that was the plan anyway. But now she hates Caitlyn, which used to be her best friend, and he hates Romeo, which used to be his best friend. And Romeo and Caitlyn are actually still together, which is interesting. Which I'll probably break them apart later. But yeah, that's what happened. So, obviously when they found out, they're extremely mad at each other, but they're still together in the house for now because they have kids together, and they want to wait until Ariella's at least a kid before they like fully separate. As you can see, Ariella hates her dad more than her mom, which is interesting. And I'm gonna be honest, Jocelyn and Logan were never really hands-on parents to begin with. The Butlers always took care of their friends. If we looked at Ronan's, you would see that his best friend was basically the butler, and Ariella's mainly only being taken care by butlers. Like, they are not involved with their kids' lives at all. And yeah, that's basically that. They're just gonna stay together until Ariella's a kid and Ronan's back from boarding school because he had no idea any of this was happening because this all took over the place over the last few days. So they want to explain to him the situation and wait for Ariella to be a kid before they fully separate and move out. But yeah, they were kind of just a fiery romance that just fizzled into cheating stuff. So yeah, and then Miss Jocelyn over here has no idea. She doesn't know yet. But I know. If you click on her and you click pregnancy options, she is pregnant with Mr. Romeo's child. And this, she didn't even want a third kid. She didn't expect this, but they risky woohoo and they're paying the price for it now. So she's going to have a third kid that she has no idea about. Jocelyn, congratulations. But let me get more into why she looks kind of manic at the moment. So I'll show a picture to you guys of her as a young adult. She had brunette hair, very light makeup, just a simple dress with a jacket on. Then she aged up into an adult, and this is after everything in her life basically became a train wreck. So she just decided she was going to completely change her look entirely. She dyed her hair blonde, has it like pushed back, kind of like the wet hair look, and she has cakes of makeup on her, like blush, contour, lipstick, nose contour, eyeshadow, eyeliner, everything. She just wants to look as if she's a rich person that nobody should give a fuck about. Like she wants to be that person that like when you look at her, you're like, oh my god, I want to be her. But she didn't realize that she looks more scary than approachable now, I guess. Like her face looks red and orange. Like you can I actively did that while I was making her. Like I wanted her makeup to be so heavy and her hair to be like blonde, like piercing blonde that it hurts your eyes. And I succeeded. I've never done this with a sim before. Like, I've never had a sim fully crash out before, and Jocelyn's my first sim to do that, so let's give her some claps. Congratulations, Jocelyn. You are my first crash out sim. I hope you enjoy. You win that award. And then I also gave her this, like, Gucci outfit, because I feel like she would want to wear, like, very expensive jewelry to, like, get back at Logan. She's wearing this very expensive necklace, so yeah, that's what's happening with her. That's why she kind of looks a little bit, what's the word, insane, like very insane. So yeah, and then little does Logan know right here, Caitlyn is also pregnant. So congratulations, they cheated on each other, and the person that they cheated on each other with is pregnant. Woo. So yeah, this family tree is gonna look real messy, like when you're looking at it. So as you can see, they're separated, but she's gonna have a third kid that's from Romeo, and then he's gonna have a third kid that's from Caitlyn, and this family tree is gonna look really messy. But I'm really excited for that to happen. I was going to play a little bit more with this family before I showed you to them, but I just really wanted to get this video filmed because I was really excited to. And I've been really enjoying filming this as well, but anyway, yeah, that's basically them. I mean, I'm trying to think if anything else has happened. As you can see, just the whole world hates them now. Like, they're like those celebrities in the media, like when you get news on them, it's like very juicy, but they're hated by everyone in town. Like, so yeah, it's like they're all toddlers. Like, oh, okay, that would make sense. They do have a kid together. I did forget to mention that. Caitlin and Romeo have a kid together named Jesse, so I'm assuming he hates both of them because I mean they did split their parent like his parents up, which I mean, touche to that kid. I mean, it's that did happen. We did break his parents up. That was done by us, but yeah, so that's basically what's going on with them. I don't know who I plan to be the heir. I might have Ariella be the heir because my plan for her, so she's a coward and a hopeless romantic. I think I want her to be a writer that's like so into writing like romance books and stuff, but she can never crave that in real life. Like she's longing for that love that she never really gets. Like I could see her going to college and being like a complete like misfit. She's kind of like an outcast person that nobody really pays attention to. I feel like that'd be kind of fun to play, but it's very subjective. I also think it would be really fun to play with Ronan and like have him be like an inspiring actor. Like honestly, I could move out with both of them too. I don't really know. So you guys can give me some feedback on what you think. But yeah, my plan moving forward is to continue doing current households on them and you guys can see them each generation. But I really want to hear from you guys what you think I should do moving forward. Like I said, Jocelyn's like my first crash out sim I've ever had, and it's so fun playing this game in different ways. Like, I was literally gonna give her just a regular adult makeover, and I was thinking like, what should I do? And I was like, what if I just like made her go off the rails, change her entire appearance just to like long for something that she doesn't have within her life right now? And I was like, wow, like that's cool. Like playing this game a different way every time just makes it so much more enjoyable, and I really love that I was able to do that within this game. But yeah, honestly, I think that's all I have to share, but let's look at this family tree one more time so you can see how insane it was. Like this is how long this family was. So obviously we started with Talia, then we had Saffron, then Maya, then Catherine, then Ella, then Haley, then Phoebe, and then Jocelyn with her two kids now, which I do think I'll pick Ariella as the heir. I'm gonna be honest. I do play with female heirs all the time, which I should probably stop doing that. Like I should play with male heirs as well, but I don't know, I just have more fun playing with female heirs, I guess. So yeah, I think that's all I have to say now. It's enough of me rambling. So anyway, there you have it. This is the Richards family in all its glory. It has been chaotic. It has been stressful. It has been fun. And is still going to continue to be a blast playing with them. I know some other simmers may have way more generations under their belt than I do, but 8 generations is a big feat for me, and this is definitely the longest family tree I have ever had and the longest amount of time I've ever played with a family. Each generation has its own moments, and I am so glad I was able to share with you the family tree in detail today. Out of curiosity, I want you to comment on which generation is your favorite. Did you like the chaos of the later generations, or were the simpler ones in the beginning your favorite to hear about? Whatever it is, I would love to hear about what you have to say. I also hope to continue sharing more updates on this family as I will be playing them regularly again. I may even consider starting to stream them from time to time, as I feel like it would be fun to take you on the ride with me. So just let me know if you guys would be interested in seeing that and whether you would want to see it on YouTube or Twitch, because I don't really know the difference between the two with streaming The Sims, so you guys can let me know what the algorithm prefers. But anyway, thank you again for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the crazy mess of the Richards family. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I hope you guys are having a great day now wherever you guys are, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.